So welcome to the Fruits of Passion. We have here my safer sex table that, wait, here. So it's a safer sex talk that I will give today. My name is Janina Vivianne. I'm living in Europe, mainly in Vienna and in Berlin. And I do safer sex education since almost 2 years. But I don't have an education in safer sex, so that's also really important to say. My background is film, art, and event organizing, but I started to get really passionate about safer sex and inform myself, and founded an association called Sex Aware with 4 other women, and we have doctors and pharmacists in that association. So the resources that I'm using are kind of with a knowledge of medicine, but myself, I don't have this background. So also, if I do mistakes, you're very welcome to tell me that there is a mistake in my resources or in what I say. Also, English is not my native language, so I might sometimes have some words missing, but I will try my best. Also, to my other privileges, I'm a white cis woman. I am bisexual and also a conscious slut in the society that is quite colorful and getting a lot of attention. Just to say that, I want to make you aware that some things that I share that I can, that I'm aware of my privileges as a white woman. Good. Also, this is a safer sex class that tried to be lustful. So I'm quite traumatized from my own safer sex education that was really very genital, biological, reproductively based. And I try to make more lustful, funny, safer sex education. So don't take me always too serious. And I'm also aware that maybe you cannot talk like that with your kids or in society. But for me, safer sex or sex in general is really something that should be lustful and funny and orgasmic or whatever it is for you, but not scary. So also when I will talk about STIs, I tell you that not to scare you, but just to make you aware so that you later can have an informed decision. For me, learning all these things were like, now I know what I can do and what I can do to make it safer. And so I also really now, even if there is sometimes scary thoughts coming up, I can relax myself because I know, okay, I had a safer sex talk with that person. I used the barriers. So actually I can relax. So muting my phone is also a good idea. So if there is any questions at any point, you can write them in the chat. I will try the first 20 minutes to just have a plain talk. But the last 10 minutes, we will do a Q&A. So you can also already write them in the chat and I can try to go into them if I feel, or I will answer them at the end. What will you get today? I will try to show you what I have on my safer sex table. There might be some things that you don't know yet, or you just think, what the fuck is doing a clink film on a safer sex table? Or I will try to show you the safer sex tools that I have on my safer sex table on my events, but also what I have in my little safer sex bag when I go to an intimate encounter, for example. Then I will try to talk about how to get tested and on what to get tested, and also to be mindful about the incubation times. I will share with you a communication tool that maybe some of you already know. ISTA call it RBDSM. I will teach the STARS talk. It's like a beautiful communication tool from Evelyn Decker from Sex Positive World that she developed, where you can really step by step have a very complete talk with the person. And for me, it really helps me to structure it, because these talks can always be a bit I mean, I did it now hundreds of times, and it's still, I feel a bit clumsy. And for me to have an acronym where I can go through really helps me to focus and to structure, and also to say, hey, have you heard about these stars talk? And then I can very easily already engage in the conversation, or I can just send a link. Also later, I will share the resources. I just put it already in the chat. Make Time for a Talk is from Evelyn Decker, the website, and there on the materials, you can also have a worksheet where very detailed you can actually fill out with your partner this worksheet and to have a look, and it can give you a very good base to have this talk. So maybe you can already download it now, and then later we will go into it in more details. So yeah, I really like to compare safer sex to climbing, because it is like, I like to see sex as a beautiful mountain where I really have to see, okay, with whom am I going to that climbing session? So who is my partner? Is it someone new that I just picked up on Tinder? Or is it maybe someone that I already know since many years? Or is it a sex buddy, for example, that I haven't seen now for some time? So I really try to make this talk often. So when I haven't seen someone, for example, I really check in anytime when I see that person. And also, for example, I really like to, when it's someone new, but I know I might want to go sexual, I also like to already initiate that talk over chat, or even send my slightly blurred STI tests. I have them in a drive, so I can just send, hey, these are my results. And then sometimes the other person say, hey, this is my results. And then you actually already have this a bit, I find it always a bit tense to go on these very medical things of like negative or positive. And yeah, these are the little tricks and tips that I over the years made myself to have it easier as a slut. So back to my climbing metaphor. Which equipment do I use to go on that climbing journey? So will I use condoms, cling film, a femidome, internal condom, for example? So all these things. Also, which mountain do I go on? So will I don't know, just have petting with a person, or do I just want to cuddle, or do I want to go on a Mount Everest and go into anal sex? So I really think it's a funny metaphor, because you can really see, okay, for example, how high do I want to get? So this can be understood as, okay, how much substances or alcohol, mind alternating substances do I want to take with a person? Especially in Berlin, this is a very relevant question. What does that person took before meeting me? For example, in a club like Kit Kat Club. So I find that really important to have a thought about these things. And also really to look at your own boundaries. Okay, how far do I want to go tonight with that person? Yeah. So what I also really like is to see, okay, maybe have already a talk, okay, which techniques do I want to use? Do I want to play with dominance or submission? Or am I really into tantric practices, and do I want to share that right at the beginning so that the person can already adjust or see if it's fitting for the person? Or am I into shibari, bondage and ropes? Or do I want to play maybe with pain and pleasure? So all these things are things that you can already have a thought. I think it's really beautiful if you can already think, what are my desires? What do I want to experience? And not to wait that the partner is actually guessing what you want. I think that often leads to frustration, that we want that the other person is guessing what we want to experience. But by asking it, or by talking about it, I think we can really have a more fulfilled sex life. So yeah, be brave. Also very important for me to say is that sex is for me not penetrative sex. So if it would be just penetrative sex, I wouldn't have had so much sex. Especially when you sleep with women, that's really not always the case. So yeah, I think that's a very penis owner thinking that sex is when I put my thing into something. And I really, really encourage you to think outside of the box. So really, it's like, it can be so much. It can be also just looking the other person in the eye and just, I don't know, really feeling connected. Or it can also just be, softly touching each other's genitals. So really try to expand your mind about sex, and it will blow your mind. So also very important, when we go back to the climbing metaphor, there is no safe climbing and there is no safe sex. So if you want it safe, don't do it at all. But you can make it safer. And that's what I will try to show you now. What is on my safer sex table? For that, I will ask Ed to switch on my second camera to spotlight my Okay, perfect. So I want to show you my safer sex table that I prepared for you. So on my safer sex table, I have condoms. I think most of you know condoms, but what you maybe don't know is that there is a lot of different sizes. And it's not about the length, it's about the diameter. So really how thick or thin it is. And I really found out that it fits, that it's way more comfortable, and I feel way more when it's the right size. That's often written on the back of a package in very small. So you can also, there is some measurement tools that you can, for example, download on Mr. Size, and you can find out your perfect size. Then to the other condoms, an internal condom that I will show you in a minute, how that works and looks. Then a loop, also a very important safer sex tool. Silicone based loop don't go well with toys, but the water-based loop works quite well with everything. Then I have on my safer sex table some hand sanitizer. I really like those with this, so that I can press it down and I don't need to take the whole bottle in my hand. And for toys and surfaces, I use another disinfectant. You can also have some disinfectant sheets, for example, with you if you don't want to take a whole bottle. Then there is also some oil on my safer sex table that is very often used for massage, but it's very important that it don't go as a loop, because it breaks the condom and makes some micro fissures.
And even if the condom is not breaking, it's just not safe anymore, and STIs can come true. So yeah, these are the oils. Then I have some gloves that I will show you in a minute. I really like to put them in little bags so that they don't get dirty. And I also really like them colorful. Here are little fingertips that I can put on just one finger if I don't want to make my whole hand covered. Mouthwash is also a safer sex tool because if you have unprotected oral sex, it can kill the bacteria in your throat. And here is the dental dam that I will show you in a minute, and the cling film. Okay, we can go back. So, perfect. Am I spotlighted again? Okay. Very good. Okay, perfect. Thank you a lot. So the two things that I didn't got further on the safer sex table because it works better if I show you directly is on one side the cling film, the dental dam. So what is the difference? It's basically the same. The one is a very thin latex sheet that is used for to protect oral sex. So you can use it on a vagina or an anus or anything everywhere, but like this is the most common use. So it's a very thin latex sheet that you then can put over the genitals and just lick. What is very important to have a look if you have a longer oral sex, that you yeah, it will maybe, because it's quite small, sometimes yeah, get together, so that you always keep it on the right side, because now, for example, I'm licking the wrong side and I'm actually licking the bacteria. So that's really important to, yeah, don't switch the sides on a dental dam because it can get quite small. And I am a big fan of the very cheap cling film. It's very important. There is some new cling film that have little holes in it to fit better on the microwave. So yeah, be careful to take the cheap one, often around 99 cents. And I really like the cling film because I can actually look through. So when I use it for safer sex, as a safer sex tool, I can see the genitals and I'm way more connected as when I use the more expensive regular dental dam. So yeah, I was at the beginning also a bit critical. Oh my God, do I really want to include even more plastic into my sex life? But it really makes it way safer, and it's, I don't know, I got fun with it. I take all these safer sex things quite funny now, and I don't know, I have a very nice thing to show you why I also like this one more, is because I can put it into my ass here so that it gets stuck in the back, and then I can really, yeah, take it up, and it's like making a little underwear, a safer sex underwear for myself. So yeah, you can wrap your whole body actually in this cling film, and it can get actually quite fun. Also with the gloves, I really like to have gloves in different colors, especially when I play with more than one person. It can get quite messy. I'm a legasthenic, so I don't remember which hand was where. So with the colors, me and also my partners can actually, yeah, remind me, hey, this is the yellow color. That's not my hand. Go wash your hands. No, so yeah, I really like these colorful gloves. I mean, they make sex life way more funny than the blue or black gloves. So yeah, these are also, I don't know, it's latex based, so it can also actually feel quite nice when you touch someone with the gloves, with lube, massaging someone, especially on festivals. I was last year on 11 festivals and did some safer sex education. And under the nails, after some days in nature, you really can get a lot of things that you really don't want to put in a vagina. I mean, you can put it in an anus, but I really also recommend you, for your own sake, to just wear gloves if you go in any hose. Also, for example, my vagina flora is very sensitive. So if a hand is coming in that I don't know, even the little skin particles can already make an irritation. So there's really a lot of awesome articles why gloves are important, and a very important safer sex tool. And I recommend you to read them. And yeah, also it can remind you when you switch the hand. Also, if you're playing with more than 2 person, or you wanna touch yourself, you can just remove the glove and touch yourself without needing to go wash your hands. But I also recommend to also just always have a little hand sanitizer next to you so that you can disinfect your hands quickly. I also really like, in playing with more than 2 persons, to invite someone that maybe don't want to join or feel a bit less sexual to be the sexy assistant that can actually stand there and give a bit of hand sanitizer, or can reach a new condom. Oh, I see you want to switch hole. Please, here is a new condom. So there's really nice things how you can make safer sex a bit more funny, maybe play with it. I also really like to just take fruits. For me, fruits can also really show passion. And so, for example, you can with friends just show how you like to lick a vagina by, for example, showing it or how to stimulate it, and by really making a mess and making safer sex a bit more juicy, you can actually bring that things up. So yeah, that's why I called it fruit of passion, because I find those fruits very sexual. And play with fruits. Also a very nice thing I had last year. I was on a play party in Berlin where they took smaller fruits and put them in condoms, and then put them up in their vagina, made a whole ritual, and then they removed the fruits from the condom and gave it to the people to eat. So it was very blessed fruits. I also like that idea. So yeah, as you see, you can be very creative and funny with safer sex tools. Okay, then that was kind of the fun part. No, I really want to also give you a bit of knowledge about the STIs. So I prepared my little cards, because I also forget sometimes an STI, and then I have to research it. So yesterday I actually found a new STI, and I'm quite excited to show it to you. I really want to maybe invite you now to close your eyes and take a deep breath. And think about when I say STI, so sexual transmittable infections, what come up in you? Which associations do you have with that word? What is happening for you when I say that? And now I would invite you to share maybe 1 word or 2 words into the chat. What was the main word that came up for you when you think about STIs? So yeah, feel free to write in the chat. I will pick up some of that and read them loud. Okay, I read dangerous, uncomfortable, worried, stops the freedom of sexual activity, risk. Thank you a lot for sharing. I also, what I wrote down when I did that for myself is like fear, guilt, shame, taboo. All these words can come up. Also, I know myself sometimes avoidance or like yeah, invulnerability, saying yeah, it's just the others, it's not me. So really these things, we grown up, most of us, in a sex negative culture where yeah, we are quite over sex is everywhere, but not very conscious and not very it's not easy to talk about your own desires or your needs and boundaries. So I think by you can set the first stone in your own little circles by yeah, already with your intimate encounters, start having the talk. So yeah, I will guide you through the stars talk. So I post again the link. If you haven't downloaded the material, the first material actually, you can do it now. It's the stars worksheet, and there you see the different STIs that you can get tested on. This is like now the last thing that I normally talk about. I want to use for that workshop now the stars talk, but differently, so called rats. Because for me, it's sometimes very difficult to right away start talking about the STIs. So I like to, yeah, switch it a bit around. And so yeah, I found it again. STAR stands for STI status, turn-ons, avoidance, avoids, relationship and intention, and safer sex etiquette. So maybe some of you know the RBDSM, relationships, boundaries, desire and fears, sexual health, and meaning and aftercare. It's basically the same. So I will go with you through this acronym, because I find it very helpful to structure myself when I do a safer sex talk. So when I talk about relationships, I really try to share in honestly about which relationship am I currently, but also to share the agreements that I have with my partner. So for example, I am living in an open relationship, and the agreements are that we are practicing safer sex, and also that we are honest to each other. So then I also try to share about, if I didn't do it before, about my sexual orientation. So I'm bisexual, and my gender identity. I really think it's important to be aware that not everybody, we are in a very heteronormative binary society, but for people that are transgender or intersexual, it's very important to not see the world in feminine or masculine. So it's not black and white. And when I talk about my intentions, it's maybe the intention for this interaction, but it can also be talking about aftercare. So it's not just about what aftercare is a word that is very much used in BDSM for describing what do you need after a session. But I really also like to take it into, for example, how often do I want to be called, or do I maybe want to, after an intercourse, I need some cuddle. That is for me the re-nurturing element that I need. So really try to also already think, okay, what is the aftercare that I might need? Then I go to now the avoids and also turn-ons. So for example, for me, I really hate if people do that with my pony. It just makes me aggressive. It's not a lot, but I want to share it before, because during sex it happens, and I just feel in myself, I just like, ah. And if I share it before, then already I kind of made a joke about it, and it's a bit, it is also more relaxed if it happens. And I have myself a little trauma around my ear. So if you get too close with your tongue to my ear, I might freeze. So by saying that, I am aware of some of my traumas. And so by really trying to share about that openly, the person that I'm interacting with might not tap into them. It might happen anyway, but I think it's nice to be a bit more trauma aware, also if it's possible to you to share about it. It's also normal that some things cannot be shared that easily or don't want to be shared on the first stars talk. But that's why also it's nice to repeat these talks, because you always find something new to talk about. Also turn-ons. I mean, turn-ons can really depend on your mood or also with whom you're interacting. Sometimes I am very kinky and with some people, and some I'm feeling very, very much vanilla. So don't be so hard with yourself if it changes. I think it's really a thing of chemistry of who is sitting in front of you. And really try to also ask for what you want, or maybe suggest things that you never tried and that you might try. And also, I don't do the whole consent teaching in that class, because it's mainly for me about safer sex, but changing your mind is okay at any point. So there's days I'm like, I want anal. Then I'm like, fuck, no, I think we're already almost in it, but no, I actually don't want it anymore. And that's really fully okay. So really don't pressure yourself through something, even if the tip is already in, you don't have to go further. So really, at any point. I also like to actually say that before, if it's a new person, that I say, hey, I'm having this talk with you now, but it don't mean that we actually will have sex. It is just for me that we have this talk, but I might, just change my mind at any point. So it's really important to also calm down these expectations. It can sometimes feel like a bit of a pressure to have this talk, even if you're not even sure if you want to sleep with that person, especially if you have it over the internet before meeting someone. It can already feel like, oh my God, I'm already saying we will have sex. But by actually naming it, you can really also reduce the threshold about it and the expectations. Also, things that you can consider to talk about is about your kinks, about toys that you might want to use, or the other props. Can talk about if you like pornography, or if you maybe want to record. Also about fantasies, about if you like to talk, dirty talk, for example, or if you like, or you need music to get into the mood. So really try to, you can talk about very much, and maybe you don't need to talk about everything on the first time, but I really like this star system, because it gives you quite of ideas what you can talk about. And then we are coming to the safer sex etiquette and the STI status. So for me, there is 5 main questions that I asked. When was your last test? So on what did you got tested? Because that's very much depending on where you are. So for example, in Berlin, they don't test some things that they test in Austria. And also, not the knowledge. So I know the most common tested thing is HIV and syphilis and chlamydia. But in a minute, I will show you the the full spectrum of STIs. Then I also ask which was the result. And it's also very important to not shame an STI. So there is many STIs that you can have, that you can also have sex without passing it through, but really be honest and communicate it. Also, what do we do? How do we communicate if something comes up later? I think it's really nice to already make some agreements. For me, it's really important that you call me immediately and tell it to me so that I can tell it to my other partners. I think often there is a big shame around these things, and but by already talking about it while you're safe sex talk, it makes it then easier for the person to approach you. I had to one time call 8 people. That was definitely a lesson. Yeah, I have a whole history with chlamydia. It's actually one of the only STIs that I ever got, and it got so much in my brain, so that now really when I touch my genitals and then I touch the genitals of another person and then I try to touch myself again, I really already, yeah, I have like a buzzer in my head that makes bzz, smear infection. Bzz, bzz. So yeah, a lot of STIs can be transmitted also about smear infection or with unprotected oral sex. So for example, I have with people that are not my partners only protected oral sex. And I know that for a lot of men that can be very shocking. And the first reflex is like, I don't want it. I don't do protected oral sex. I'm like, okay, but so then when we are on it and I try to ask, okay, how much percent, what is the difference? Give me a percentage. And it's like, okay, it's just 60%. I feel just 60% of it. And then I ask, okay, but how much would you feel if I don't do it at all? And then they realize, okay, wait, maybe this is the only way. So by myself having this very straight boundaries, there is only oral sex with a condom, the other person also get used to it. And after time realizing, oh, wow, this actually, I can feel it by just forgetting this, I don't want it. It's also something that I realized with condoms. For me, there is no other ways of using. I just use a condom. So I don't think, do I use a condom? I know I use a condom. It's more the question, which condom do I use? Oh, by the way, I forgot to show you the internal condom. It's for me a really awesome condom because I can put it in myself. So maybe some of you never saw that. It's 2 rings basically, one with an entrance, and this ring is inside. So by pushing the first ring together, I can put it in my vagina and this stays outside. So also a bigger area of my vagina outside is protected from STIs. Also can be used for oral sex a bit. It's a bit small though. But what I really like on it, that's also one of my safer sex hacks. If I have sex with 3 people, for example, can be more, of course, I can put the person with a vagina can put the persons with a vagina can both put an internal condom in the vagina or anus, and then the penis owner don't need to switch condom if he's switching hole. So that's very important if you switch hole. So if you go from anus to vagina or from vagina to anus or from vagina to vagina, that you always switch condom because there can be a lot of bacteria and viruses. So I see 45 minutes was a bit short timed. So, okay, I didn't go through my beautiful STIs, but I guess that I can post a website where you can read everything about the STIs. I think that's also something you may not need me, but I really encourage you to read through and to get informed about STIs, because for me, it helps me a lot to have that knowledge, to also feel more relaxed about it, so that it don't feel scary or that I don't feel insecure, or I always feel it a bit, but a bit less. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can already post them in the chat, while I will give you a bit like the spotlights of STIs that I find the most important, where I was like, oh, I didn't know that. So for example, I didn't know that chlamydia, for example, is like mostly for women. Around 70% of the women don't have symptoms of chlamydia. And so it can be completely asymptomatic, and you can carry it quite long. For example, chlamydia and gonorrhea can also be in the throat. Actually, also syphilis and HPV. But yeah, this is like chlamydia and gonorrhea can be in the throat. So if you have unprotected oral sex, especially deep throating, for example, you can, transmit also STIs that are maybe in the throat. So when I get tested, I really ask to test my throat, my vagina, and my anus, because this is places where STIs can get stuck. I'm posting now the website of our community project, Sex Positive Community Europe, where under sex positive / safer sex, you find where you can get tested for free in Europe, for example. So when you, in Austria, for example, you need to have symptoms to get tested for free. But in Berlin, for example, there is a lot of centers where you can get tested for free on every STI except HPV. So yeah, these are the links where you can find these information. Also, there is a link to the incubation times. So really be mindful about the incubation time. So if the condom broke, that you wait 3 to 6 weeks to make a test, because otherwise it's it don't give you the right result. Okay, I totally miscalculated the time, and now I would have been better. But as I see there is no questions in the chat, I thank you all for coming here. And one little thing, you can be an ambassador for safer sex by sharing it with your friends in your intimate encounters and making our world a bit more safe. So yeah, please share knowledge, share the links, and goodbye.
Thank you, Janina. There's another session in 15 minutes, so I'm going to have to end it now.
Yeah, please.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye, Janina. Thank you very much.
Ciao.